HeatherAsh Amara with my dear friend Miguel Ruiz Jr.
Hello.
And we're playing with the new camera. So for those of you that are just experiencing this for the first time, you can actually scroll around and look at where we are, which is really cool. We're in an incredible apartment right now in the middle of New York City. So we want to just talk a little bit about how to stay steady in the middle of chaos.
Being the center of the hurricane, as my father would teach them.
Yeah.
How to find that balance between being sucked away into the winds of a hurricane by finding your center in the middle, because that's, even in the hurricane, the most calmest part is exactly in the eye.
That's right.
And one of the things I've learned is that that hurricane exists because I created it. Yeah, that's the thing I've realized, that hurricane is intense because I make it intense, and it could also be mellow if I wanted to make it mellow. You know, as an author, I can make that hurricane go incredibly fast with all these deadlines, all these places, all these other places that, you know, well, writing, interviews, lectures, traveling, family, wife, children, parents, and someone else's dream and helping them. So you can see right off the bat that the energy has increased, and you don't even need to be in New York City in order to experience that type of a hurricane. But we create it. So how to stay in the center as our creation flows around us.
And what I found being in New York for the last month or so, I've been traveling around, but I've been here a lot, and we're staying right by Union Square, is that if you keep your attention here, and also for me, if I keep my attention on my feet and reaching down into the earth and just staying present, the fact that there's calm and stillness beneath me and within me. And there may be people rushing to work and tourists and all sorts of things swirling around physically here, but there's always a calm place if I just look for it. And it's also really helpful to have a place where you can also retreat. Mm-hmm. So this has been a great retreat place, and so you can see we're in the middle of it, but up high enough, and so it's a little bit magical in that way. And so for all of us, especially the more busy your life is, or the busier the area that you're in, the more that you want to keep your focus on your stillness. Where's your stillness? Your attention on your feet, your attention on the earth beneath you. And also make sure that you give yourself times of retreat where you take space just for yourself to recenter, to reground, to get clear. Because then you'll be able to give the best to your family and your parents and your work and whatever else needs you.
Yeah, I find that, you know, one of the things my father taught me about how to silence the mind is that most of the time we try to redirect our attention in the thick of it all, like in the middle of a brainstorm session, or thoughts, this being negative, positive, whatever. And the way to create peace, he taught me, was to extend the gaps between thoughts. Now imagine a paragraph in a book. A paragraph is separated by a punctuation mark. It's one of HeatherAsh's favorite little lessons there. Period. But there, if you read a book, there's the next paragraph right off the bat, but there's that space. Now, imagine your thoughts as paragraphs. And sometimes we have thoughts and they go right after the other, boom, boom. And that's what makes it feel like the hurricane is just starting to flow, because we think of all these things we have to do, and it's one thought after the other, and the other, and the other, and the other. So one of the things that we can learn to do is to, when that thought ends, to redirect then, not in the middle of it, but right then, redirect it to your breath, to a song, to an om, to a prayer, to whatever it is that you like. For example, I enjoy running, so the longer distance I run, the more space there is. But you can say that's one of the goals that my father taught me, is that to find that silence is to allow that gap between thoughts, that period, and the first capital letter of the next paragraph to extend Now here's the thing. In the Toltec tradition, the function of the mind is to dream, which simply is to perceive and to project. So a thought, the same energy I use to move my legs, to move my arms, the same energy I use to create a thought. And at the root of every belief I have in my belief system, there is a yes that gives it power, which means all those thoughts are me projecting onto the world. I'm projecting not only just out there, I'm projecting to myself. So that space in between those thoughts, if the thoughts are projections, then that space in between is perception. We begin to perceive the environment that surrounds us. We begin to perceive ourselves. So to extend that silence is to allow that moment where the mind no longer projects, for at least for that brief moment, but perceives. And all of a sudden there is a peace. Because what we find, even when we're looking around, we're naming things, we're giving ideas, what is that, what is this, what is that. To perceive is simply to see and to perceive that information as life. And whether it be it in the heart of New York, or in the desert outside of Sedona, or in the ocean outside of Maine, or Los Angeles, or in the yoga studio, or in a monastery, or in a house where everyone is crying or laughing or yelling, or the everyday routine of a father, a mother, a child. Allow yourself to perceive. And extending that thought is what brings some of that peace.
Beautiful. I love it. And you can also do that as you're moving in the world by looking at where's the space in your life. So many of us look for where's the stuff. So we look for the people, like if you're walking down the street in New York, let's say, and if you just look at the people, it gets really crazy really fast. If you look at where's the space between the people, there's always plenty of space, no matter how many people there are. And we can do the same thing with our thoughts, like Don Miguel is saying, as well as with the physical world around us, as well as where are the gaps in your life, where are the moments in your life where you're not doing something. And instead of immediately filling it up, I just read that on average a person picks up their iPhone 150 times a day. I decided I need to start counting myself and going down, because what we're doing is there's a gap and we're filling it. And it's a hard one to break, so be gentle with yourself, but just notice, can you just sit? This morning, which was a rare thing in my life, I was up really early and I was down in Union Square and I sat on a bench and did nothing for a while. I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. I could do more of this. So do more of that, of just sit. Even if it's for a minute, take that space in. And keep exploring space between the paragraphs and the thoughts. I love that. And the concepts. And keep undoing. There's another practice I've been doing recently, which has been really super fun, which is to practice taking things apart instead of always putting them together. That's the other thing our mind is constantly doing, is putting things together. And I'm telling my mind, hey, just start taking things apart. Start making more space. And your mind will do that if you give it that direction.
And the cool thing is that when you re-engage the dream of the planet, you can reconstruct it in the way you want to create it. Yeah, you deconstructed it, but as you engage, you're going to recreate it in a totally different way. So it's always changing. Remember, the canvas for our art is our life. Now imagine a painting that changes with every new stroke, and the scenery continues to change. From a portrait to a landscape to whatever it is you want to create.
And you have the brush, and enjoy the process of the painting. Not when I get to the finished end, then I'll enjoy the painting. This is it. This is it. So have a blessed day. Go out and create something magical. Create more space.
The funny thing is, as you say that, it makes me think, yeah, you create, the work of art ends with your last breath.
Right.
So
bye-bye.
Enjoy every breath. Enjoy every moment.
Take good care.